Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to be talking about wedding planning, specifically a very special wedding that will be taking place in our family. This is my oldest daughter, Kirsten. She is engaged to be married next May to Tim. And today we are just going to really be talking about the planning process, what she did from the beginning, where she is at today, what she has left, and really some tips and tricks that maybe you could utilize or someone that you know could utilize, and you could pass along this information. So Kirsten, why don't you share some details of the wedding, maybe the engagement, what the date is, and then we can kind of go into the whole planning process.
So my fiance, Tim, and I got engaged about a year ago on July 1st, 2018. We got engaged up north in northern Michigan on Mackinac Island, and it was a really casual proposal. We were just wearing, casual gym type clothes. We had been biking around the island. My cousin Kristen and her then fiance, now husband, were in town, so it was perfect because Kristen and I grew up together. Our life dream was to be engaged at the same time, plan our weddings at the same time. So it was just perfect that they were there. They got to capture it on picture. It was just really sweet. It was perfect for us and Tim and I's style. Prior to getting engaged, Tim and I have been together, I should say, for quite a while, many years. So we knew that this was the next step we were taking in our lives. So prior to getting engaged, I had been researching, just in my free time, wedding venues, wedding things, that sort of thing. So I had already had our venue, or the venue that I wanted, picked out prior to getting engaged, which I think a lot of girls can relate, especially if they're in long-term relationships. It's just fun to look around online at wedding venues and wedding things. So shortly after getting engaged, we planned a trip up north to where our wedding venue is located. And we took my parents, Tim's parents, and McKenna and her boyfriend Bobby came with us. And we toured the venue that I had had my eye on. We loved it just as much as we did online, and we booked it right then and there.
Yeah, and actually we did look at maybe one or two other places when we were there.
Yes, so we did have two other venues booked for tours just to be on the safe side in case we didn't absolutely love the one we had our eye on. We toured the first one and we liked it, but we weren't in love with it. And then we went to the one we ended up going with. Loved it, just knew we needed to book it right then and there, and then we actually canceled the third one because we booked the second one.
And this particular venue was already booking way beyond. I mean, we didn't even get the first date that you guys had selected.
Yeah, so the first date that we wanted was actually my parents' wedding anniversary, which is May 23rd, 2020. And I kind of went into it like, if they have it available, then awesome. If they don't, we're not going to have our hearts broken. But yeah, it was already taken, which at that time seemed so far out. We ended up going with the next weekend, which is May 30th, 2020.
Right. So really, it was not quite 2 years from the date, but over a year and a half. And like Kirsten said, even if you're not engaged, but you have your heart set on a particular venue, if you're committed and you know you're going to get married, you may want to put a deposit. It's something to consider, because I can't believe even other venues, even the place that I'm hosting her shower at, their weddings are booked for like 2 years. So just bear that in mind. And I think that's why sometimes people are forced into a long engagement as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the venue we went with is also up north. So we got engaged up north. Our wedding venue is up north. It's just a really special place for us. And for those of you that aren't from Michigan, up north just means the northern part of Michigan. It has a lot of quaint towns, lakes. It's just a really popular kind of getaway destination, and it just really fit us.
Yeah. Well, and Kirsten grew up camping up north, because that is something that we did all through our kids' childhood. So there's a lot of special memories that I think come with having, your venue there.
Yeah.
So then kind of go into what really happened from that point. So that was the very first step. You got your date, you have your venue. So now, because you're locked in, you can start booking other things.
Yeah, so right after the first thing we did was set our date, get our venue, which I think for everyone is probably your first thing, is to lock down your venue and your date. And then you can really start looking into your big vendors, like your photographer, your caterer, if you're doing a videographer, that sort of thing. So our venue gave us a preferred list of vendors they like. And we have gone with a few off of the preferred list, especially with it being a few hours away from where we live. It's good to go with what your venue they recommend. They know those vendors, they trust those vendors. So for example, we went with a catering company that they know and love, that our venue uses often.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because they're already kind of a team. They know how to work with one another. There's some history there. So I think that's fantastic. Yeah. But I like the fact that they give you options because people are dealing with different price points as well.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about where you guys are kind of going with because there's buffet. Mm-hmm. Now they're doing family style, which is something more new. Back when I got married, everybody pretty much did buffet, but a lot of people, well, there definitely was plated meals as well, but I don't remember back when I got married a lot of family style, but I know that's starting to become popular as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of different new things that are becoming popular, the family style, even stations. What was really important to us was having a plated meal, which I know is not important to everybody, but for us, that was an area we wanted to spend a little bit more money on than maybe something else. We just love going to a wedding and having your food served to you at your table. You don't even have to get out of your seat. There's just something so nice about that. So that was really, really important to us.
So you've got your venue, now you've booked your caterer, mm-hmm. and now what comes next? Or is there, I guess let me back up. Did you follow any type of checklist or anything that gave you kind of an idea of what the sequence of doing your bookings were?
Yes, so actually I got this planner, show you guys.
Which, didn't we get that for you guys?
Yes, yeah. This was from my mom, and she got this for us shortly after we got engaged, and this is the Erin Condren planner, the Erin Condren wedding planner. It's really, really nice, it's good quality, it's thick, like hardcover, really, really nice book. So we got this, and this has a checklist inside of it. It has a calendar, it has a lot of really great planning tools in it. So I primarily use this in their checklist, but I also have the Knot app downloaded. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the Knot. They have a checklist on their app that's really easy to follow also.
I'll make sure that I have the planner linked, and there's several different options. You'd be amazed how many different covers you can choose, and the lettering, you can tailor it and customize it however you'd like. I will also have the Knot website linked down below as well. And you feel like this really helped?
Yeah, it really, really helps. Every time I book a vendor, I print out the contract and I stick it inside the planner. Then I have all my contracts organized, labeled for what they are if I need to go back and look at something in the contract. It's really, really nice. I also can keep track of dates. It's a fun thing to look back on. There's a calendar inside, and I'll write down, the date we went and toured the venue, or the date that we met with our photographer, and it's just a fun thing to look back on to remember.
Yeah. Now, what else have you booked, and what is left? And if you have any tips to give with each booking.
The first thing we booked was the venue, the date, and then we booked the caterer. And then after the caterer, we booked the photographer. I found a photographer based out of Detroit that I loved. We booked her, and then we actually ended up booking her sister for videography services. We went back and forth on whether or not we were going to book a videographer, but it worked out perfectly with my photographer's sister starting a company, and they could kind of be a team, so we went with that.
Now, what about the ceremony location?
So yes, our reception venue is strictly a reception venue. They do allow ceremonies, but it would have to be a really small, intimate wedding, like 50 people or less. So we were on the hunt for a ceremony location after we booked our reception venue. And we ended up finding a really, really gorgeous ceremony location in a wooded location at a vineyard nearby, only 7 minutes from our reception venue. So we went with that. We're so excited. We love, like I said, the up north vibe, the woods, it all really ties together. In a perfect world, I would have loved to book a venue that both the ceremony and the reception could have been at the same location. Ideally, if I'm being honest, I love going to a wedding where it's all in one place. It's so smooth, but it just didn't work out for us, and we're really happy with our ceremony location.
I do agree. I do agree with Kirsten on that one. So just you're hearing from two different people. It really is nice when the wedding is right there where the reception is. I love that too. It's just you're parked, you're good to go. But this is I love what you guys have going on. Okay, so we have ceremony site now. What about music, flowers? What are some of the other things?
So music, something that was really important to us also along the lines with a plated dinner was really important. Another thing that was really important to us was some sort of live music. Don't get me wrong, DJs can be great, and we are having a DJ in the later portion of the evening, but there is something about live music, especially during the cocktail hour and dinner, just creates an ambiance that can't be beat. And
it's a personal preference, but I like it. I think there's just a charm to it. I love there is just this atmosphere, but it's, that's an added thing sometimes for people to do something like that. So you do have to pick and choose where you want to put your money, and sometimes you scale it back, because I feel like with your florist, you didn't give her as big of a budget because you guys wanted to put more money towards the plated meal and your music.
Yes. So we really decided what was important to us, and two of the main things were the plated meal and the live music, at least in some portion of the night. Like I said, we're having a DJ come in later in the night. So when you're thinking about your budget, there's definitely areas where you have to decide what is important to you and what can you scale back on. So some examples of areas we're scaling back on is we are only having beer and wine for alcohol. That's just something that both Tim and we decided together. It's a way to save money, and we just don't feel like we need liquor at our wedding. It's one thing I know my mom will talk about, but thinking about your guest list.
Yeah, I think that it is important to look at your guest list. If you have a lot of guests that are liquor drinkers or like to have cocktails of some sort, then I think that may be your deciding factor. In our family, or looking at her guest list, when I looked at our side of the family, to be honest with you, we have a lot of beer drinkers, and the ones that don't drink beer tend to be wine drinkers. So to put your money there when it's really not necessary, I think it's a way to save money. So I thought that was a great idea. And really, let me just share with you that Tim and Kirsten have called all the shots in this wedding. As parents, you guide us. Where do you need us? What do you want us to go to? It's their wedding. They're making all the decisions. And if they're in question on something, then they may say, "What do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And then we'll give our input. But really, do you feel that way?
I agree. We've sometimes. Well, no, I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say sometimes I'm like, help me.
No, I think that's good though.
Yeah, sometimes definitely both of Tim and I's parents were really lucky that neither of our parents are pushy or shovey or too involved. Sometimes I'm even like, I need your help. Please come help me. I need advice.
But it's one of those things where it's a respect thing. So that is kind of that. I'm kind of glad that you said that live here. Yeah. Because I don't ever want to overstep. Well, even with my husband, Kirsten's dad, sometimes he may say something and I'll go, well, let them reach out to us. So it's good to know that.
One of the ways that we're saving money is by just doing beer and wine for our alcohol. Now it's in the works that we may be doing a signature cocktail, but it's not been finalized, and we're still working on whether or not we're going to do that. So maybe I'll update on that in a later video. Yeah. But other ways we're saving money, and these are just little things, kind of optional things, but I know late night snacks are really popular these days. We're not doing one of those. Our reception is only from 5 to 10, and we're going to provide our guests with a list of like local bars and places they could go out after the wedding. So we don't really feel like it's necessary to do a late night snack, even though they are are fun. We're not doing a photo booth. Again, another kind of added thing that's fun. Everyone loves them, but just not super necessary. Yeah. We are having a smaller wedding. We are shooting for around 100 guests, which is considered a smaller wedding. That's one way that we're saving a little bit of money. We're also doing smaller bridal parties. I have 6 bridesmaids. That's not small. But I have 6 bridesmaids, which isn't really that small now that I think about it. But
well, you have 4 sisters. So.
Yeah, I have 4 sisters. So I have 4 sisters, and then Tim has a daughter named Kaylee, who's 9, and she is a junior bridesmaid. And then my cousin Kristen, the one who was there for our engagement, is also a bridesmaid. And then Tim is actually only having 3 groomsmen. So we are having an uneven number, which I am totally fine with. I don't feel like that's a big deal. I think if you're getting married and you're worried about an even number, I don't think you should be. So again, a little bit of a smaller party saves money in areas like for every party member, you have to usually get a gift, you have to pay for a bouquet or a corsage. So having a smaller party actually saves a little bit of money too.
Right. And you're going to save money as well on having a lower guest list, because every particular person, you're paying for more space, so more tables, which is more linens. You're paying for that extra plated meal. You're paying for a larger cake to serve that many people. So there's really many ways that having a little bit smaller wedding, I think, can save you some money.
We did book our florist as well. We're doing a local florist that our venue recommended. We're doing a lot of greenery, and I'm still deciding on some of the floral arrangements. That can kind of come in later. We just have her booked.
Well, you definitely save money if you're going with more greens than flowers.
Yes.
Because I even know that just from working with a florist, because I get fresh flowers for even house parties. And the more flowers you have, the more expense you're going to have. So that would be another way that if you wanted to choose to cut costs a little bit, think more greenery and less florals. Or pick and choose where you're going to put your florals. They don't have to be with everything. Greenery is beautiful. It really is beautiful. And you see a lot of that these days. And I think a lot of it's gorgeous. It's simple. And I like it.
Yeah.
So.
And our florist is going to repurpose. So some of the pieces she's going to have at the ceremony will then be taken over to the reception and kind of repurposed there. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. And another floral tip, because I also ran into this with planning the shower. Florists love when brides have a Pinterest board, because they want to see that board, because they look at what you've pinned, and right there is the inspiration. What is left to book? And do you feel like did you struggle anywhere? Like, did anything just really take a long time? And I mean, you got everybody you wanted. Did you get your first selection because you booked early enough?
Yes. Having a long engagement, I highly recommend for a couple different reasons. First of all, you can ensure that you're going to get the vendors that you want because you're booking so far out. A couple vendors that I emailed were actually like, wow, you're an early planner, or oh my gosh, I'm not even booking for 2020 yet. But not only was I able to secure them, I was able to get their 2019 or even 2018 rates. So that was huge. I know some of the vendors that I've booked, I've been on their websites recently, and they've raised their prices for 2020 weddings. So that's huge. If you get engaged, start looking at your vendors and booking them right away, because you're going to save money and you're going to ensure you get who you want to.
Right. And it's longer for you to budget for your wedding, or even if your parents are contributing or paying for the wedding, it gives them more time. If you say, hey, mom and dad, getting married in 6 months, I would pass out.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's so many reasons a long engagement is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have my moments where I'm like, this is so far away. Like, I feel like we're never getting married. It's so far away. But honestly, you have more time to budget. You have more time to just savor and enjoy. You don't get so stressed out. I honestly, and maybe it'll come, but I have not been stressed out yet. I'm sure it'll come, but
I'll let you know, because I walk with her.
So far, it's been pretty stress-free because I've had so much time. Like I said, none of the vendors I've emailed have been booked, and you can save money and budget more. you just have more time. It's
Yeah.
I think in the end, I'm not going to look back and say, oh, that was such a long engagement. I'm probably going to say that went by so fast.
Yeah. Oh, everything always goes by fast. In the moment it doesn't. It's kind of like a pregnancy. When is this going to end? And then you're like, oh, that was so fast. Now, what do you have left? So you have the cake, which we've done a little tasting once.
Yeah, we still have to book the cake. We still have to book an officiant. That's something that's my next thing on my Knot checklist on the Knot app. That's my next thing, is to get an officiant. Coming up, we're going to be creating our wedding website. We're going to be ordering and sending our save the dates. And I think that's kind of the next couple of things there.
Okay, what about the wedding dress?
Yes, so wedding dress has not happened. We're still sweating for the wedding. Hopefully within the next 2 months,
yeah.
I'll be shopping for a wedding dress.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed the process as well, being the mom to the bride, and this is my first daughter getting married. It's everything that you do the first time. It's kind of like the guinea pig, and it's been a really enjoyable journey. And Tim is really involved. He's a wonderful fiance. He's plugged in. Yeah. Kirsten doesn't make any decisions without him. They really have been a great team, and I think that's fantastic when you have a supportive and kind of a hands-on fiance when it comes to planning the wedding as well.
Even when I told him I was filming this video today, I said, is there anything you don't want me to say or anything you want to keep private? So I try to keep him really involved and make sure that he has an input. Even though it's easy to just go ahead and start planning everything, it's at the end of the day, you want your fiance to be involved.
Right. And there's some specific things he wanted that, no, I want to really be very, very involved in this.
Yeah.
And I think he's actually doing some of the website. And
yeah, he really wanted to do the wedding website. That was something he was important to him. He really wanted to stay in the music. He really likes music, so that was something important to him. And then he really wanted to plan our honeymoon, which was great. So,
and that's also in the works. So
yes.
So the honeymoon planning is going.
Yeah.
So you're really at a good place.
Yep.
You're at a good place. We're 10 and a half months out.
Yep.
And I don't have my dress, if anyone is wondering, but I'm hoping the next couple months to, get the ball rolling with that as well. I'm sure many of you will have lots of questions. There's so much that has to go with a wedding, but Kirsten's done a great job, Kirsten and Tim, as far as everything that they've done. I do want to show something that Kirsten's father and I picked up as a gift, and I'll kind of explain the story. So we took a little getaway for a weekend, and we went up to look at the venue so it would have been 1 year out. We wanted to see what everything looked like. We went to the ceremony site, and we were going to be doing a cake testing. When we were getting ready to have the cake, we presented Kirsten and Tim with a gift, and I'm probably going to get a glare on this, so I have to kind of be careful. But what we did is we got their server, and we had it engraved with their name, Kirsten and Tim, May 30th, 2020. And then we also have the knife, and that is engraved as well. And we did the Jacksons and did the numerical date on that. So I'm trying to hold it in a way that it does not get a glare, but it was just really neat. We didn't use these to cut the cake that we were testing, but it was just so fitting for them to open up their server and their knife, the set that they will be using on their actual wedding day. So it was just something kind of cute. And I will link the one that we purchased in the drop down as well. Now this is kind of backing things up a little bit, but because I don't even know if I know this, but the engagement ring. Did you have any input in that, or did Tim surprise you completely?
So I had full input in my engagement ring, which is probably a little bit controversial. I know people have strong opinions on that, but I did have input in my engagement ring. I picked out my engagement ring. My engagement ring is really simple. I think we're going to insert some either pictures or clips of my ring. It's really simple. It's actually gold, yellow gold, which is, I think, a little bit unique. Everybody does silver these days, it seems like. So it is gold solitaire oval diamond. So a little bit unique, but yet really, really simple. I did pick it out. I really don't even have much to say about that. I just picked it out and that's what I wanted. And Tim did pick out the diamond. He got really into it. It was actually cute. He got really into the specifics about the diamond, clarity cut, all that. I have no idea about any of that. He got really into that. He picked the diamond out. So I picked out the shape and the setting. And I love it every day. I love it. It's so simple. I'm actually going to do a really simple wedding band as well, just a simple gold band to go with it. I just love the simplicity of it. I feel like it's timeless. I feel like it's a ring that I could hand down to my grandkids or something someday because it's just so simple.
Now, the actual engagement, though, was definitely a surprise. I mean, you knew it was coming, and I think we all did, because Tim had already asked Kirsten's dad for her hand in marriage, and of course my husband said absolutely. But no one knew. No one knew when it was going to take place. I think we all had an idea that it would be in the summer, and I think there was even times we were thinking, it didn't happen. Like it could have happened then. Yeah. It was definitely a surprise, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise. I will say I was hopeful that it would happen when it did, because my cousin, like I said, my cousin and her then fiance were coming into town to stay with us for a week, and we planned a little trip up north to Mackinac Island. And I was really hopeful it was going to happen. I kept thinking this would just be perfect. It would be, to have Kristen there would just be ideal. It would be the dream. So I was really hopeful, and I don't think I said anything though. I don't think I said this would be perfect. I just kept thinking this would be perfect. And we had arrived. Well, I guess I'll tell a quick funny story. To get to Mackinac Island, you have to ride a ferry to get there. That's the only way you can really get there, is through a ferry. So us four had gotten in line for the ferry. We were about to get on the ferry, and all of a sudden Tim was like, oh my gosh, I left my bag in the car, and just started sprinting back to the car. And I was just kind of like, I guess there must have been something important in the bag, some water bottles, I don't know. So he got the bag, came back, and we were on our merry way to the island. And turns out my ring, his plan was to propose to me on the island, which he did, but my ring was in that bag, and he almost left it in the car. So, oh my goodness, kind of funny story.
Yeah. Well, and it is great when you always have a story, because it's something you can tell your kids someday, and that is great. That is great. A couple videos worth mentioning that I have linked in the drop-down box below this video. The first one is on hosting a party, like a bridal or baby shower, but this could also pertain to a birthday party, gender reveal, retirement party, really anything. There's also party planning checklist you'll want to check out, and I'll have those linked as well. Another video that may interest you is if you are going to be a guest at an upcoming wedding, there's cost associated with that, so check that video out. And lastly, if you have not watched our New York City family vacation vlog, you don't want to miss it. It is so good. You can get to it up here, but it will also be linked below. And last but not least, if you'd like Kirsten to come back in a couple months and update us on what's going on with the wedding planning process, let me know in the comment section. If you have any questions, suggestions, we are open to them, all in the comment section. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon in the next video. Take care.